as part of the life. We earmarked space for that, and we said, okay, the weekly markets can be held here. The villages were integrated into the city. We did some basic planning for them, and you said, okay, you grow along with the rest of the city. The concept structure plan here, what I'd like to highlight is the industrial areas on the periphery. The commercial and institutional activities were distributed, so everybody doesn't go into one central part and comes out of it. So there are lots of focal points. The high density activities were mostly along major traffic routes, interlinked greens, and we took care that the groundwater recharge and the ecologically sensitive areas were not built upon. They were left as agricultural and greens and things like that. Integrated approach to services. There were well-defined corridors for each service were laid out. Master plan. Detailing was done. The basic point is a detailed plan for each thing was, each service was made out. Instead of people adding on services as they grow along up to for the full development. And then provisioning was being done as per. This was the standard along which all further development was going on. Regional connectivity, we had provided for the BRT and metro corridors. There are Delhi, I don't need to. There was a hierarchy of roads. To ensure a smooth flow of traffic, we built roads for almost full traffic right from the start. We thought that for at least for the next 30 or 40 years, there should not be any problem of congestion on the road. So we said, let us build. And there is enough money in the development process for that. Bus bays were made part of road design, otherwise buses stop wherever they wish and block the road. Bus shelters, no direct access on arterial roads. Design and maintenance norms were specified. Parking was not allowed in the right of way. Areas were identified. Walkability, an attempt was made to make things to walk to as much as possible. Most requirements were within walking distances, let's say about 400 meters or so. Cycle rickshaws were planned within the city and sectors. The authority acquired some. Electric vehicles were attempted. We didn't succeed very much. And there was a provisioning for pedestrian pathways and cycle tracks so that people can use them. Urban design was an essential characteristic which we ensured upon city aesthetics. Manicured, when we did this discussion, where our city is dirty, one answer that came was that we keep a lot of areas for green and we don't develop it, so it becomes a refuge for either slums or people throwing their garbage, and we have garbage all over our cities. So right from the beginning, all the green area which we left out, we developed. And the solid waste management system, starting from segregation and collection of the household, was done from day one. Then, of course, the street furniture and all I don't need to go into. The landscaping was there to have green belts along arterial roads to control development. This also served as an environmental things. 25% area was reserved for greenery, interlinked green spaces, etc. Streetscape again, just to have city aesthetics. Urban form, we provided all services within the plot right from the beginning. When we developed the area, all services were taken inside each plot and an outlet was given. So the need to dig up the road all the time was obviated. Then we had certain other norms for ramps and designs, etc. The attempt was to make it into one of the most different city from the others and a pleasant place to live in. Greater Noida is a one-stop shop. That is an advantage in which we have, that we are responsible for the whole thing, development, planning, investment, and maintenance. We try to do a lean management operational structure. This is year 98 to 2000. We did a lot of computerization of systems. We started some online services. IT and ICT was nothing like what it is now 10 years down the line. Here on this, the idea was minimum regulation is strict compliance. We said we will only, for residential, we will only confine ourselves to the envelope of the building. The rest people can do what they wish. We did self-certification by architects. We did deemed completion. So to make it simple, the performance standards were set up for various services. Tried to give us a transparent administration. The regulations were simplified. There was absolute uniformity in enforcement. Exceptions were in only very, very rare cases like death or some very, very serious illness. And it was uniformly applied whoever it was. And this, I think, helped us a lot in developing it the way we want. And of course, transparency. Community, we created neighborhood management councils to involve the people. For the funding, We made a capital expenditure plan which was synchronized with the physical master plan. A capital budget and profitability analysis was made. A proper accounting policy of double entry, accrual basis was there. Reserve funds were created for expansion and maintenance of these services. Adequate financial provisioning was made, both for creation of assets and for subsequent maintenance. Funds were earmarked that this money goes into for maintenance and is not going to be used up for new projects. We prepared a long-term corporate plan. Fund was created, like I said, special funds for future development. City-level projects are all costed in the price of the land right from the beginning. So when Greater Noida Authority says we're going to make a metro, it has already been costed in the price of land from about 10 years ago, that a metro will come and this will cost so much money. And this costing is kind of upgraded every year to make it. Part provision was made in the capital cost of the land. Specific items were earmarked for the maintenance. This is an issue because maintenance, unless you maintain, nothing works. At the end of the day, it is maintenance, I think, which is of far more importance than creating and building new things. Funds were created for various things. The user fee for maintenance was being thought of, reserve funds, I told you. Tried to get the private sector involved for finance, efficiency, etc. Our experience was not very successful. We tried 5 or 6 things, 2 or 3 happened. We, by and large, found out that the private sector was a little too risk-averse for a new kind of city. The guarantees for 10 to 20 years were being required. We were willing to give a guarantee for 5 or 7 years. So this is the issue. The private sector also needs to develop itself as a good brand which will give quality. So what we tried to do was to develop a strategy that is different from the traditional. And I think it took care of a fair amount of sustainable issue, whether it is the kind of physical thing or the social infrastructure. How will maintenance be done? How will funding be done? To reduce the ecological impact and things, a lot of things got to do. However, visioning and initial development is one part of the thing. It only lays down the roadmap. It has to be a continuous process. There has to be a maintenance. Issues have to be there. And also I think they need to learn, to renew, to improve whatever is, and that is an ongoing exercise. So what would be lessons we can draw and what is the way ahead for newer cities? One of the things which now I feel in hindsight is that the provisioning of the public and the internal transport system should be made part of the project cost. We tried to do a PPP partnership. And it's a bit of a chicken and egg until there are a huge number of people, the private sector doesn't come, and then we were a little diffident about how much to subsidize, how do you do all these PPP models had also not been worked out. So I think that should be made part of the project cost, and I think in a lot of future developments it is being made. In the USA, in the lead, I think they are making this part of the project cost itself of the developer. Then instead of having just well-defined corridors, I think it makes far more sense to build an integrated service trench and let all the services run through it. So it's far more efficient, it's more integrated, there's less disruption, and everybody doesn't keep coming and doing their own thing. Electric transport systems are very much more available now. There is a personalized rapid transit system which works on an elevated track, and it is very much environment friendly and takes large number of people. So we can try those kind of things. Waste collection, there's a new technology which takes vacuum-based systems. So you throw your kuda in a kind of a bin, and then the vacuum sort of takes it to the final collecting point. So that is one area. There's waste to energy available through PGV, plasma gasification and vitrification technology, in which you save all the land from the landfill site. And that is more than the opportunity cost of that. The revenue you can earn from that same land is far more than the capital cost of this technology. And you get power also in addition, so which helps this thing. Recycling of wastewater we could have done. That is another thing we need to do. There can be mandated now certain percentage of green buildings and green neighborhoods because the private sector is also coming in a large way. A lot of renewable energy applications can be thought of, particularly in this environment of climate change. We have this national policy. And then, of course, far more use of ICT and other new technologies. ICT can be a very big enabler, like Prakash was mentioning just now. It enables you to provide anytime, anywhere services. It can handle vast amounts of data, faster speed, quick analysis, automatic corrections. Real-time solutions can be there. So your services can be, an aeroplane mostly is on an autopilot. The computer runs it most of the time. I sat with a pilot once. He said, "Sir, this is like a giant video game. I only punch in the coordinates. The plane does the rest." Of course, when it fails, then he is important. If something goes wrong, then he has to correct it. So it is possible to do all these things. So it will lead to resource optimization, which is a huge requirement now. How do you optimize resource use with these large numbers of people who are going to come? And this is not merely troubling us, troubling the rest of the world also. We also want high quality of public service delivery, etc. So this can be used. There's a huge list of applications where you can do this. Digital mapping, GIS, a lot of these things are happening in bits and pieces. But when you're planning a city right in the beginning, if you're doing now, then I think we need to make a provision for this right in the beginning. Bits and pieces are being added up. A lot of you people, I think, are doing work on pieces of this. Ultimately, there's a smart grid. We lead to a smart city concept, something which he has done. This can be India's opportunity. There's a feeling that if India can go into these new technologies and into the environmental friendly things, then this is, whoever has this access to new climate change technologies is going to lead the development of the world in the next 100 years or so. So there's a school of thought which thinks so. The smart city components, I think I won't go through it. Prakash has already highlighted. Everything gets connected to everything else. All information is available. It's interconnected. There's self-correction. And you have an integrated system. You will have 3 layers. There will be a service layer. There's an interactive layer. And there is the basic infrastructure layer. The benefits are obvious. First of all, you get convenient services, efficient utilization of resources, clean utilities, safer. You can read through this. And so this is what I think we need to go ahead and use ICT to the maximum extent possible in the current crop of cities that are coming up and the other things that we do. Thank you very much.